Carter Page, former Trump campaign advisor. Carter, thank you for coming in tonight. What do you make of what they were saying about the timeline start of all of this? Who invited you to a symposium in Cambridge, and why is there anything possibly nefarious about that?
Look, I'm keeping an open mind, and I think if you listen to a lot of the testimony, or even the questions from the Republicans, they were asking, they just want the facts, and it was complete stonewalling today. So there is so much that's about to come out. It's really an incredible moment in history. Today was a real turning point, exactly along the lines of what Andy.
What do you mean there's so much that's about to come out? What do you mean?
Well, I think, as the fact that Mr. Mueller wouldn't answer any of their questions, and they said, well, there's this ongoing Inspector General report coming out. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just first step one in a long process. And, Chairman Graham has said that, since the Republicans still control the Senate, they are also going to do a deep dive into this real tremendous attack on our democracy led by the Democrats.
Yeah. So who invited you to Cambridge? We heard a lot of names tossed around today: Joseph Mifsud, Alexander Downer. Who reached out to you for that particular event that makes those gentlemen think that might have been when it started?
Look, I'm always very open, but I'd like not to point the finger at people. And so, however, today they did mention directly that Stephen Schrage, who is a student at Cambridge University, they have evidence that he was the person who invited me. So it's now in congressional testimony. So I guess it's out there. So, but again, I keep an open mind on it.
No, I understand, but what did any alarm bells go off in your head when you dealt with that student, Stephen Schrage? And I just think it raised a lot of questions today. So I'm just curious what you can fill in for us.
Look, there are so many alarm bells that started later that same month. Late July of 2016 is when I started first getting the calls based on these false Steele allegations. Dvyakin and the chairman of Rosneft, Mr. Sechin. People who I've never met in my life, and they were trying to get some basic facts on that, and unfortunately it was a complete roadblock. But I think we're getting closer to starting to unravel these questions.
All right, I just want to play one more soundbite for you. This is from Devin Nunes with regard to Joseph Mifsud, and I just want to get your reaction to this. Let's watch that.
The entire investigation was opened based not on Five Eyes intelligence, but on a tip from a foreign politician about a conversation involving Joseph Mifsud. He's a Maltese diplomat who's widely portrayed as a Russian agent, but seems to have far more connections with Western governments, including our own FBI and our own State Department, than with Russia.
What's your reaction to that moment, Carter?
Well, it's another one of those situations I was just alluding to where I want to be careful. Mr. Schrage I had met with. I spent several days with him. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever met Mifsud in my life, so I'm careful to not say much about that. However, I think it was a great point, and I think if you listen to the whole, which I know you had great coverage all day, and you heard the whole testimony, yeah. But there was a lot of open questions related to this, which were totally misrepresented throughout that Mueller report. All the pages about me are just complete Democrat spin. Totally out of control, and it's exactly as we're. I think the exculpatory elements.
And are you going to take any action with regard to that?
Well, it's interesting. I've had a case in the Western District of Oklahoma, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of stonewalling. Director Wray, who I asked for some evidence from, he's been totally stonewalling with the FBI. But I'm hoping that now that things are starting to come out, I definitely have some big steps planned there and elsewhere with the DNC and their cronies who are at the center of this whole scandal.
Yeah. All right. Carter Page, thank you very much.
Thanks,
good to see you tonight. Thanks for being here. You too.